I made a video on Denis Villeneuve. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that name. I made a video of his latest work, Dune Part 1, and it's a movie that I really enjoyed despite being only half a film. So that got me curious, like whether the style he incorporated into Dune and is, consistent with his previous work. So I decided to watch his previous venture, which was in 2016 or so, or at least that's the movie that caught my attention. So I watched the movie Arrival. The movie was conceived by Eric Heisserer, again, apologies for mispronouncing any names, who conceived the project as a spec script based on the 1998 short story Story of Your Life by Ted Chiang. Again, another fantastic movie by Denis Villeneuve, and again, it's another movie that I really enjoyed. I cannot sing praises for this movie enough. I did like Dune better than this movie. That doesn't mean that this movie is inferior in any way. I just prefer Dune Part 1 to this. The way the director planned each and every shot in this film is phenomenal. The cinematography, the visuals, the way everything is presented, it's so mesmerizing, man. Like, the movie looks and feels like a work of art, similar to what you would feel on Dune Part 1. Even the performances are really strong. I have only like a few problems with the film, and the movie is really not that long. It's less than 2 hours. I'll put the actual thing here. There's a lot that is crammed into this 2 hours. It is a really slow film. It takes its time to set up everything and pay off everything, or at least as much as it can. So the movie does require your patience in that regard. Now, Amy Adams is like the heart of this movie. She carries this film. She is the focus of this film, and she does her job great. Like, the director had a choice. Like, he could have easily turned this movie into a action sci-fi blockbuster, and that would have raked in money as well. But he went down a very different route. He went on a more realistic and a peaceful route, and the outcome, while I admit it is the ideal scenario, I have a different opinion on that. I'm kind of pessimistic about that outcome because I do not feel like that would happen if it was happening in real life. But I kind of like the way it was executed. And Amy Adams, and I like that she's not perfect. Like, aside from the core story, like the main storyline, she also has some shit that she's dealing with, and she's also going through some stuff. And again, the performances are stellar. Like, Forest Whitaker and Jeremy Renner, they provide good performances. I also like the addition of the kid and how she factors into the story. I like also the symbolisms that the movie is presenting to you. If you're watching this movie and you really care about deep meaning and everything like that, then this movie is going to be your cup of tea. And I also like how they deal with the arrival of aliens in a more peaceful approach. Normally what would happen in a movie is kind of like Independence Day, but we don't want another movie like that because we already got Independence Day. We already got the violent version of it. So it's kind of refreshing to see another take on alien invasion, a much more peaceful, diplomatic approach to creatures that don't even grasp our language. I also like the design of the heptapods. That's the name of the species they're calling in the movie. I like the designs. I like how they look, even how they try to communicate. I like the execution of their language, how that's presented, and how the characters figure out their languages to some extent. I mean, they just started. I also like the way the sounds are used in this film. There's a moment in the movie where the scene goes absolutely silent and you're just with the character and you're seeing them experience these. I like that, and I like how each of them have a different viewpoint on the arrival of the aliens. The only problem I had was that I kind of wish that Amy Adams found a few flaws in her description of the languages. It kind of made it seem like she's way too perfect, but they did provide an explanation for that in the film, so I'm okay with it. In the beginning, I had that issue, but the movie explained it in a believable way as to why she's able to come up with these solutions. And I also like her reasoning, and I also like how she approaches a situation, like the ways you can communicate with the alien, how she presents a solution, and how the military is a bit more open to it. And I also love that this movie does not portray military people as idiots. That's a breath of fresh air to me. Now, my only problem with the film is with the addition of is the character of Jeremy Renner. He does his job well. He performs his role well. But the thing is that he doesn't contribute to the story that much. He's just someone in the background and someone that ends up with Amy Adams at the end. He doesn't really have much of a role in this film. He does have one scene where he figures some stuff out. Like, that was just one scene. And I think Amy Adams' character could have easily figured that thing out, albeit a little bit later, but she would have still figured all that out, considering what happens at the second half and how she understands their language. I think she would have figured that out sooner rather than later. So the inclusion of Jeremy Renner just felt like an addition to put something in the background rather than a necessity. So that is my only major problem with the film. My only other problem with the film, and these two are my only problems, is the way the scene kind of ends, or the climax kind of ends. Like, if you look at the marketing material, the tagline is, "Why are they here?" Like, the entire movie is the answer to the question as to why these aliens have arrived on Earth. What is their purpose? What are their intentions? That's the main goal of the film that the movie is trying to answer. And once we get to know why they are here, once we know the answer, it's kind of glossed over, and it's just kind of underwhelming whatever happens later. And yeah, that was my only other problem with the film. Aside from that, it is a very entertaining movie with great performances and stunning visuals. Everything planned meticulously, every shot planned to absolute perfection, everything that looks like a work of art. The characters feel very, very real. They handle the situations in a very believable manner. They tackle problems and come up with solutions in a much real manner. They portray human nature in a very real manner, in a very believable manner, and it never felt like each and every one of them shares the same ideals. Now, everyone has a different viewpoint on these things, and they act upon those viewpoints, and I enjoyed all that. And if you haven't watched Arrival yet, I highly recommend you watch it. And it is my second time watching it, and I enjoyed the movie. I especially love Amy Adams' character and what she goes through in this movie. And on top of the job that she has to do, that's my biggest highlight of this film. I highly recommend this movie if you haven't watched it. Even if you have watched it and it's been a while, then I recommend you watch it again just to get a kind of refresher. Because, man, this movie is fantastic. It would have easily been on my best list if I was doing this channel back then. One of the best movies of Denis Villeneuve. Hoping I'm saying that right. And I really hope that his next ventures are of these quality. And I hope he maintains this quality. And yeah, enjoy, guys. This movie is fantastic. I highly recommend it.
Girl, you shut me down and there's no witness. Got me in my feels, she would never listen. All the alcohol is in my liver. I guess I lost and you're the winner. Missing your touch, you were a good kisser. I was born a saint, but now I'm a sinner. Falling for you.